Hiatus over.
We are finally back.
And we're glad to be here. We're glad you're listening.
Yes, thank you for press and play today.
We are Red Weather Christians.
I'm Jen.
I'm Steve. And we are expats living in Spain, trying to restore faith in humanity, one story at a time.
On this season of Red Weather Christians, we'll be highlighting the feel-good stories that make us smile and remind us of the good in humanity.
We hope that as you listen, you become more mindful of the good. And that if you don't see it,
you do it.
Or you be it. So one of the reasons we've been quiet or missing or
totally absent,
non-existent with this podcast for the past 3 months, 4 or 5 months now.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to think about it.
Is that while we did already move to Spain, we had another big move here.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of things going on. Just in general, your first year in another country, there's a lot going on. We have to get empadronamientos. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay. Basically like a proof that you live in a certain pueblo. We've had to do that.
Twice.
We bought a car. We don't have licenses yet. We're working on that. So we're just driving very carefully with our international driver's license, hoping that's enough. What else have we been up to? Getting library cards.
Yes, library cards. But,
priorities.
NIEs as well. Finally
yes.
Actually having them.
Yeah, like the official number.
The card that says we're a resident who's allowed in Spain.
Right. Yeah, a lot's been going on. But the biggest thing is that we bought a house.
We did. Now, we had known we were buying this house on previous episodes, but it hadn't really come to fruition and the moving process hadn't begun.
Right.
So for the past couple of months, we've been moving in.
Yeah. And I would say the couple months before that, we had been anticipating the move and trying to do everything that we could while we were still in the apartment to be as ready as we possibly could without knowing exactly the move-in date.
Yeah. That's another story.
Oh,
many
man.
stories.
Yeah, so
for
many
another
stories.
time.
Kind of a little bit of a nightmare, but
we are fairly well settled now.
yes, feeling good.
So we're going to try our best to wrap up season 4 before summer break.
Oh, we can only hope. Yes, and we're not recording in a closet, so it might sound a little bit different, but you guys can deal with that.
Yep. So obviously buying a house in Spain and having moved to Spain, there could be questions. Jen, why did you move to Spain? Why did you tell me that we had to move to Spain?
Yeah, I don't think we ever really addressed this in the podcast yet, so we're gonna do it today. This morning. Top of the morning to ya. Here we go. So, Spain. We were living in... You are just shaking your head at me.
Top of the morning to you. You didn't even put an accent on it.
I do it the way I want to do it, okay? We were living in Ecuador. We had always known that Ecuador was not a long-term living plan. However, we loved living in Ecuador, and I feel like we got the most out of it that we could. We met the most amazing people. We made friendships that will last the rest of our lives, and it was a great experience. Also, it was a great experience of living internationally. It was like our first step into living internationally. What it did for us was made us realize that, hey, we can do this. We can do this in another country. We can live internationally. We don't have to move back to the States when this little Ecuador adventure is over. We don't have to do that.
And so unlike Ecuador, we do have long-term plans for Spain, for living in Spain. Yeah. Obviously, we bought a house.
Right. Yes, we are planning to be here for more than a hot minute. And we wanted to live in a country that spoke Spanish. And...
correction.
Sorry.
We are learning things. The country generally speaks Castellano, and we've learned that that is their word for what everyone else calls Spanish.
Right. I'm so sorry.
But Valenciano, Catalan, Basque, etc., whatever.
Yeah.
Are the other languages that are also spoken here.
Right. So if you didn't know, just because you're in Spain, don't expect to hear what you think is traditional Spanish. There are many languages spoken in this country, and we happen to live in a region, Valencia, that speaks Valenciano. But I will say most people, the majority of people, speak Castellano, which is what we know, or we like to think we know.
Yes. And so just keep in mind that Spanish refers to the people group, not the language. Castellano is the language that lots of Spanish people speak.
Okay, so back to Spain and why we chose Spain instead of living in Ecuador long term, because, it was the language that was the biggest draw for both of those places. We love the idea of Spain being in Europe and giving us that ability to travel within Europe much, much easier. And we thought, things might be a little bit safer in Spain. And in Valencia in particular, it's the third largest city in the country. And unlike Barcelona and Madrid, there isn't as much like petty crime and like pickpocketing. And it's just a little safer than the other two bigger cities. It's on the coast.
Yeah,
so,
it's basically like the beautiful parts of California coastline.
Right.
And not California.
Yeah, but it's not ocean. We're not up against an ocean. We're up against the Mediterranean Sea. So there aren't big waves. That might be a turnoff to you surfers out there, but it is beautiful and the water is the most beautiful color, turquoise, and we love it.
Yes.
We love it. We love it.
So some people ask, a house, so what's it look like? Do you have a garden? Even people here that we are friends with ask, do you have a garden?
Okay, so we're finally getting to the point of this episode. Now, remember, this whole season is about finding the good, the feel-good stories. But on this episode, we're going to focus on our slogan, cheer the good, don't boo the bad.
No garden, no problem.
No garden, no problem. Boom.
So, our house
in the middle of our street. Our house.
Yeah, there's no yard.
No.
0 yard.
Yeah. This is typical in Spain, though. I mean, you look around and you see apartments, mostly. Number one, apartments. Like on top of each other, apartments. And then you see what's called casa adosada, which is like a townhouse. So on either side, it is sharing a wall with the next townhouse. And then you will see some independent houses that have yards, but these are typically not really inside a pueblo. Typically they're in an urbanization. And what that means is kind of like a gated community. And for whatever reason in Spain, I'm sure there's a reason for it. We haven't quite figured it out yet. But if you have a yard, it is hedged. Like your yard is behind hedges. So if you're walking around in the neighborhood on the sidewalk, you can't see into people's yards because there are thick hedges or walls. And that was, to us, a little bit off-putting.
Yeah, it wasn't inviting.
Yeah, it wasn't inviting. And also, some of the urbanizations are just like mansions.
Yep.
And that was also, for us, a little off-putting. And also, one more thing about the urbanization is that it's not a pueblo. So it's just houses. You can't like walk to a little market or walk to go get your hair done or whatever. It's just houses.
Now, the other way in a pueblo to get a yard is to just buy multiple lots. And we've seen a couple of those places here in Rafa Buñol. But if you really want a yard and you want a house and you don't want the gated community and you don't want the hedges, you are living in a house with a yard way out in the boonies.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Where to get to your house, you're driving on a dirt road. Or a road that is super narrow and like good luck if another car comes the other way.
Yep, those are your options.
Yeah.
That we've experienced so far.
Right. This is obviously our experience and in this area. So we were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Because when we first moved here, we were thinking, well, we're going to get a house and we're going to have a yard and it's going to be great and it's going to be beautiful and I'm going to have bougainvillea.
You might still have that.
I can hope.
But we chose a townhouse, essentially.
Yep.
In a pueblo. Mm-hmm. So that we could have shopping within a 2-minute walk.
Yeah.
Haircuts, 2-minute walk. Mm-hmm. Music school, 2-minute walk. Mm-hmm. Library, maybe 3-minute walk. Yeah. Library's a little bit farther than the music school.
Yeah. Cafes are all over the place. Bakeries.
Life.
Restaurants.
Life is all around us.
Oh, the Poly Sports Center.
5 minutes, maybe?
Oh, Steve and I played paddle for the first time the other day. It was so fun.
It was good.
It was
good.
so fun. I'm fully into it now. I want to like go buy paddles and just like
So
make this my identity.
By fully into it, she means she wants to buy things.
I did buy a skirt. You know, the skirt with the little shorts underneath, the big pockets to hold the balls.
Sure. This is fully
It was
into
on
it.
sale.
We're fully into it, I guess. We don't have paddles, we don't have balls, but we have a skirt.
Yes. I'm ready to use it.
Nice.
Okay.
So, going back to the no yard
No problem.
or no garden.
No problem.
Why no yard is so great for us?
Right. Well,
Or in general.
I think most people, especially just my experiences living in the States, think, well, you have to have a yard with your house. That is just a given. Like when people are house hunting, you make sure you have a yard or garden with your home. That is super important. And we had to completely change our mindset moving to Spain because we had always had a house with a yard, a backyard, a front yard,
Side yards.
all the yards.
Yes.
So yes, we're changing our mindset. We, did some house hunting in Spain. We walked through this house that we're currently in and we loved it. It has terraces on every floor, balconies off every room, this cute little front porch off the living room on the first floor. It's lovely, but it doesn't have any kind of dirt, I will say. It has terraces where you could put potted plants, which we will do. We have started. But there's no dirt. There's no grass or anything like that.
Yeah, the entire lot is just built up with blocks, concrete, tile, walls,
And
everything.
so you might think, oh, well, how can you even like have a dog or anything? Well, I'll tell you, plenty of people have dogs around here.
They do. But here's the other thing. I have 0 yard maintenance tools or anything.
This benefits mostly Steve because I had little to nothing to do with yard work. Although I will say when we lived in Michigan, I do remember raking.
Oh, you gotta have help raking. The leaves.
That was the worst.
Anyway, so you think, well, what do you do then? If you don't have a yard, where do you barbecue? Where do you enjoy outside?
What do you do?
Oh, I'm sorry. You just share that space with your neighbors.
Yeah.
And you
Go to a park.
Yeah, you eat outside in a park, or you.
Well, as far as eating is concerned, you eat in any of these bars. They have outdoor tables. All the bars serve food. Cafes, all the cafes serve food, and then actual restaurants, yes, they serve food too. And the seating almost always is outside. One of the places that we went to with Terry and Guillaume was, it was amazing. It's in our Pueblo, which I'm so excited about. And it has a little, like you walk through the restaurant and then at the back there's a door and it opens up into a patio and it's beautiful and it's like open to the sky and it has plants all in it. Yes. So outdoor eating is definitely a thing here. But then also you can go to parks. There are parks all over the place, like green spaces.
We've got one really close that's got a small playground.
Yep.
Then we've got one a little bit farther away that's got a lot of playgrounds.
And space, just a lot of space.
Green space, grass, trees.
Birds. Well, the
birds are everywhere.
Yes. I was telling Steve we should record an episode on the front porch and listen to the birdies. And Steve, in true fashion, laughs at me. But it is true. You go outside or you just open a window and you just hear the birds immediately. And it's one of my favorite things about living here.
I'm sure that Jen will find a way to edit those birds
I
into
will
the
get
background.
the birds.
Somehow you will hear them. Or if you want to hear them, feel free to send her a message and she will send you one with birds in the background.
I'll just do an audio message back with the birds. It'll be great.
So why is no yard also great?
Tell us, Steve.
Well, it forces us to be a little bit more sociable
This is a good thing for us.
than we otherwise would because we have to go out. And then when we go out, we inevitably are going somewhere or probably running into some people to do that thing that we would otherwise maybe do in our own yard.
Yeah.
Which means we have to speak Spanish.
Yes, this is good.
Or, sorry, Castellano.
Yeah. Gosh, you messed it up. After mansplaining it to me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, my man.
Also, that means to be sociable and go somewhere, we would have to walk there.
Ayo. Walking is so good for us. We know that.
We also bike, so that's also great.
Yeah, also great. We can bike to the beach. We're maybe going to do that today. We'll see.
That's right, because we can.
We can.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
So we also, with this front porch that Jen mentioned, she sits out there and has her coffee. Sometimes I sit out there and have a mug of water with her.
Mug of water. Yum, yum.
Well, I'm sorry. Hot ham water for you? Anyway.
Got a stew going.
Our front porch is right there. We haven't mentioned this yet, but our front porch looks to this promenade in the middle of town where people just walk down to go to other parts of the town or walk back to go to the cafe or, I don't know, there aren't cars.
Yeah, so instead of like a sidewalk and then a road, it's like the sidewalk is huge and then there is like a little strip of dirt with like trees and plants and bushes, and then there's a one-way road on the other side of that.
So it's pretty quiet, but there's still lots of life happening in front of us. So we sit there, and we're not hidden behind hedges. People can see us, which is maybe sometimes awkward.
Sometimes people walk right next to the house, so I just see their little heads bopping up and down as they walk past, like, hola.
And sometimes they're very confused because we are the only people who, in our little 4 blocks of houses, that really do this on that side.
Oh, I'm a porch sitter, people. I love it.
So they're like, oh, what?
There's somebody there.
And we're relatively new to the area, so they definitely haven't seen us sitting there that often.
By now, probably the entire Pueblo of Raffle Buñol knows us because we stand out. We have 3 loud kids. We are speaking English.
Most of the time English, and when we do try to speak Castellano, it's noticeably not our first language.
Right, correct. We're doing better with the language, but you'd think like, oh, well, you guys were in Ecuador for 3 years, and now you've been in Spain for nearly a full school year. You're probably fluent, right? Oh.
We are.
It takes such a long time.
We're just one disappointment after another.
Oh, just
so we're looking at the good. We're looking at the good, though. The good is
sorry.
better than we were.
Yes, yeah. And oftentimes in language development, you don't see very clearly the progress that you're making. It's like a very slow journey with little tiny doors opening here and there. So I like to think that I actually am quite improved from like a year ago. Yes, that's what I'm going to think.
I like to think that, yes. So this no yard thing is what we're talking about. We recommend it. Obviously, the city dwellers out there in the States, you probably have dealt with this. You just live in an apartment and there's no yard and you share green space.
Yeah, but you still have plants. Like we have some potted plants. We're going to put in more potted plants after the summer, after the heat of the summer. And we're also going to be gone in the States for a while. So we're kind of putting that off a little bit. But we're going to have tons of plants on all of our balconies and terraces.
Yeah. Again, plants is what you like. And then I end up maintaining them.
I water occasionally. Steve does all the potting and thanks, babe.
Yeah. So I was referencing apartments in other cities or even in Valencia as well. That's a main feature, which you already mentioned. But they're kind of small for us. We are still in the mindset that we need more space.
Well, we are considered here a familia numerosa, meaning we have at least 3 kids. If you have 3 or more kids, you are a numerous family.
Big family.
Yes, and there are like little benefits you can get, like discounts on the metro and at museums and stuff like that.
But that means all those small apartments are just that.
We're talking 1 bathroom.
For our family.
Yeah.
It just means it's small. And while that's great, it then would force you out of your home. Like, we can't stay in here. It's too small.
Right.
And then into public spaces.
Right.
That's great in other ways. We didn't choose that route.
No.
But we did go with the no yard.
Yes.
So we're looking for the good.
Yeah.
We still have way more space than we need in this place, which is inviting guests.
Yes. I mentioned Terry and Guillaume. They stayed with us. They have 3 boys. Wow. There were so many boys in this house. Terry and I were quite outnumbered. And they all 5 of them stayed with us. It was great. Even though our primary bathroom is mostly out of commission, we need to redo that bathroom. That's like the big thing. We knew that coming into the house, but that's still like on the to-do list. even with that out of commission, it worked out fine, I would say. I would say it worked out very well.
Yes.
It was awesome. It was
Plenty of
super fun.
space.
Yeah.
Plenty of space. So what's another great thing about no garden, no problem?
What, Steve? I'm on the edge of my seat.
Well, when you build a community or a culture of communal spaces like this, you end up saying, well, look, this swing set, this playground would be great for lots of kids to play on.
Yeah.
Because how often do your kids play on the one swing set they have in their backyard?
I know this is something that I think about all the time when we're in the States, because especially when we go to Michigan, because it's kind of country where we go and lots of huge yards and swing sets in most of the yards. And I rarely see kids playing on the swing sets. Try not to be hyperbolic here.
Sometimes you do, but oftentimes kids, and this happens with ours, so I'm saying our kids, they'll get bored with playing with just each other or on their own equipment. They'll want their friends to come over and then they play on that swing set. So the idea is, why don't you just build the swing set that everyone can play on, the playground that everybody can go to.
Right.
And then no one has their own. Everyone just has one they share.
Yeah. And, we're just all here kind of paying our dues and everything. And the city maintains it. You don't have to maintain the swing set. You don't have to weed whack the grass that's growing around all the posts and mow the yard around it. That's nice.
And because it's a communal thing, you can usually get a larger playground or a larger swing set than you would ever have in your own backyard.
Yeah.
It's great. The playground that we do have, the big one, which, let me add,
This is a fun anecdote.
We asked, well, I shouldn't say we. Jen asked the group chat
I am in this beast group chat. It is huge. And it's all women, like international women living kind of in this area. And I just put out a question there like, hey, are there any decent playgrounds around here near school, which is in a slightly different area than where we are right here. And immediately the response was, oh, the park in Raffle Buñol is the best. People come from Valencia to go to this park. And that is the park / playground in our pueblo. Like Raffle Buñol is our pueblo. And so it was just funny because it's like, yeah, and this was before we moved, but we knew we were moving here. It was like, yeah, that was one major reason why we chose this pueblo, because this park was amazing.
Right. So it's got 3 large playground structures, separate areas. One's a little bit for smaller kids. One's for all age kids. One's for, I don't know, it's just different style. It's got more ropes and things. And then they've got swing sets elsewhere, and they've got a little bike path around the whole thing, and some exercise equipment for adults.
And then a little like cement pad area with little lanes marked and yield signs and stuff for you to like pretend that you're in a car, but you're on a bike or a scooter or whatever. Very cute.
And that's for all ages.
Oh yeah, I love it.
There's a skate park. There are 2 little football fields with some basketball hoops that are rarely used, but they could be used.
There's a ping pong table. Just bring your own paddles and ping pong balls and have at it.
And
there are bathrooms.
Yeah, that's
no
good.
Toilet paper, but there are bathrooms. So just come prepared, everybody.
But it's a wonderful, big, shared space.
Oh, the other thing about parks here is the ones that I've noticed anyway are gated or like fenced. Fenced doesn't sound right. They're like pretty wrought iron gates that go all the way around the park. And they have 1 or 2, maybe 3, depending on the size of the park, of the entrances open. And so it just feels more secure, I guess. But then they close them at night and lock them. So you don't have like creepy people trying to like hang out in the middle of the night or loiter or whatever.
I guess. We're not there at that time anymore.
I don't know. It just makes me feel a little bit more secure. And then also some of the parks, not all, but some of the parks dogs aren't allowed into, which is actually nice because you don't step in dog poop, because not everybody picks up after their dogs. Some things never change. Okay, focusing on the good.
The good. The green space, the shared space. And oddly enough, when we were talking about moving to Spain this summer with this family that we met at Gull Lake, they said exactly this.
Yes.
They said, it's so great that everybody, you live in your pueblo and then you go out and you share the country. Mm-hmm. Campo.
Yeah.
And that's true about like the mountains and the hiking. So few people live out there in the mountains. Some do. But it's really just trails and you hike up and there it is.
Good luck staying on the trails. Maybe that's for another podcast episode. We've had some adventures, Steve and me.
Yes, we have. But all that to say, if you're listening and you have a yard,
great. We hope you use it. We hope you love it. We hope your kids love it, and we hope your kids play on their swing set if they have one.
We loved our yard.
We did, and we used our yard.
We did.
But we don't have a yard now.
And we're okay with that.
Yeah, we're okay. We're more than okay. We're actually happy about it because we don't have the maintenance, and it forces us to get outside into our community. And come on now, you guys know how important community is. Have you watched the Blue Zones documentary on Netflix? Community helps you live longer.
Wait, have we watched it? I
think we watched the first one.
We watched one episode. It was about community living longer. So,
hey,
have you seen that one that we've seen? Have you seen that one random episode we've seen of random things?
Hey, it was a good one, okay? It was very important, and it's all about how community helps you live longer. They were like, is it diet? Is it exercise? How are these people living so long? And they're like, oh my gosh, it's community.
Yep.
So, there you go. If you're living in a house with a yard, that's wonderful, but maybe consider, I don't know, just pretend that you don't have a yard sometimes and just think, oh, I have to go to this park because I don't have a yard, and just go do it. Just get out there.
Yeah, do that.
And if you live in Spain, I will say this is a really nice thing about living here, is you go to a park, you go to a playground, and there are typically bars and restaurants and stuff very close by, if not inside the park. And so you can go potentially and not even like bring a picnic lunch or anything, and there's going to be something very close by to go and eat at. And in Spain, I will say that it's pretty cheap to eat out. That's been a really nice thing. You can get some good quality food at not exorbitant prices and feel good about it, and then get back to the park. Sometimes there are like bars right
Sounds
across
like
the
feel
street.
good stories right there.
I'm feeling good.
You feel good about the food. We have digressed. I say we, but it's Jen has digressed about the food opportunities here.
Oh man, it's
a
so
few
easy
times.
to do.
So no garden, no problem, because there's food.
Yeah, hey, it works in my mind. That it works.
This might be the solution to any other problem you have.
Well,
just
maybe
food. Just
you're
food.
like, oh well, I don't want to go to the park because then what are we going to eat? I mean, these are the things that I think of.
Sure, I have plenty of energy on my body stored.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Maybe I need a little bit more food than you throughout the day.
Stored energy. Just store it right there.
Anyway, so, if you guys want to come visit us in Spain, we have plenty of room in our new house. And we live close to the parks. We live close to the Poly Sports Center.
We haven't mentioned it, but we also chose this place because it's close to the metro line, which goes straight to the airport.
Yes. So if you come into the airport, you just get on line 3, take it all the way
to the end.
Yep. It is a little bit of a trip, but you don't have to get off and change metro lines or anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
You just come on, Rafa Buñol.
Come on over. Come on over. Come on over, baby.
We do hear, is that Shania?
I don't even think that's the melody. Sorry, everybody. It's been a while since I've heard that song.
Did you want to say Hot Minute?
I almost did. And I was like, I just said that.
You said Hot Minute a lot.
I do.
By the way, Hot Minute translates to any amount of time that seems like a long time.
In Espanol, it's like ratito. That can mean any number of things. It can mean like a minute, a few seconds, a few minutes, a couple hours.
A minute.
A hot minute.
Totally different than a minute. A minute is quickly.
I think we're done.
Hot minute.
I think we're done. I think we're wrapping
Lots
up.
of
Are we
times.
wrapping up? Is it time to wrap up?
Are you trying to be funny about this
Should
wrap
I
up?
intro our wrap up?
And now the
we will
next
wrap
thing
up
we are going to do, the name of the thing that I'm going to do next
is
conclusion and call to action. We want to remind everyone that if you don't have a yard, it's not a problem.
Not a problem. No garden, no problem.
We are Red Weather Christians.
I'm Jen.
I'm Steve. And remember, cheer the good.
Don't boo the bad.
We out.